to restart my meta.
Right.
It's
The floor is yours.
Okay, so just a quick one. Where is it? Oh, I see. I wasn't ready for the floor.
The floor's ready for you.
I see that. It's when you go out and tap the mic and going, "Hello, can anyone hear me?" It's like, slide one, please. Where's slide one?
Is this thing on?
Okay, I'll let that.
Are you
Anyway,
time
right,
constrained?
so
Why are you time constrained, or are you just content constrained?
No. I'm content constrained.
Content constrained. Okay.
Because I'm about halfway through the flight profile, but I want to just do a course check.
All right, sweet. Sounds good.
So let me get the.
If there's time, I have an idea to share with you.
Okay, that's cool. Do you want to do the idea first while I'm faffing around with my laptop?
Nah, because I'm going to faff around with the idea more. It's not formed.
Okay, fair enough. Right. So, share screen. Sharing screen. Can you see that?
I see it.
Okay, so right. Last time we talked, I was going to go manually through each of the defs.
Yep.
I've done that, and to my meat brain, there's a couple of things. First one is they all seem correct to me.
Okay.
Second one is the complexity is already getting to the point where I don't trust my meat brain to actually know that the complexity is correct. The content is correct.
Okay.
So what I've been thinking is, well, what do we do with it? So this is back to evals. So I was starting to think about evals. Now, from what we learned about defs, it doesn't really matter what the format of an eval is, so long as you're really consistent. And previously we were talking about defs as in do this. Here's what we're trying to do this, and here's the expectation. So I've kind of ripped off a bit. This is why I want a course check, see if this is a stupid idea. Of course checked a kind of state change using this notation, where you've got the initial state, you've got the state change, and you've got the final state and the expectation. This is generated, obviously. You can see because health check means nothing. But what I think will happen is, remember when I was previously talking about evals and we need an instance to run it on. I think that's that's falling foul of my own, widely stated view that we shouldn't be running on a second order derivative. We should be working only on the logic. And so with a clearly stated eval, it should be able to run on the defs directly without having a target. You can run it on a target, but we shouldn't be running the render directly on the target. We should be able to say, is this the sort of thing that could happen? And to cut out the whole kind of, let's spin up a sandbox version of a CRM, for example, and then run a bunch of tests. That feels that we are, or I am, when I was previously advocating for that, getting into that territory of a second order eval, because what we really want is a self-coherent, self-consistent set of definitions and evals go very closely in hand with the defs. So this is the route I'm thinking down at the moment. So thoughts, please, if I'm going down the wrong route. These can be generated, the content, health and vest, and so on. That's whatever. But the
hang on. You guys, just give me a minute.
I've ripped off Neo4j because hey, it doesn't matter, but it just needs to be self-consistent. So I'm using their notation because it's text.
Is the purpose of what you're trying to do to describe user stories that have multiple parties involved?
Yes, because there's like the uh, um, one-to-one of actors doing something. So actor one, given a state, actor one does something with another actor, and that actor could be a nap, and it would involve a state change, and that state change has an expectation. We should be able to abstract that out without having to have a target sandbox, because the sandbox may have issues with it. What we want to do is to keep the defs and the evals very tightly linked, so that the CRM, sorry, the instance sandbox version is, yeah, okay, doesn't matter. We could run it against that, but those two need to be really tightly linked. So it should be impossible, for example, for uh, and I'm going to negative tests as well. Say a funder to you know, I don't have a good example. Um, uh,
I don't think the example
it should,
matters. Are you just simply
yeah,
like you were about to make a point and then you got
yeah,
lost trying to make an example? What was the
yeah,
point?
yeah, yeah. The point is, what the route I'm going down at the moment is I don't think we need a sandbox in order to run evals. I
What's a
think
sandbox?
as in here's a real CRM with real data. And you know, Alice does this, Bob does
Okay.
that. Here's
So
what our expectation is.
in the set of definitions that I put forwards to you, this is called an interaction, or might have been described as a complex interaction. This intertwining of a user's of two or more user stories.
Yes,
Yeah, and so
and
these to
the
me
nesting.
represent they represent novel information because they give information that is not present in the definitions alone or the user stories alone, because they show how the user stories interact.
Yes, and I agree with that. I guess the route I'm going down is those two should can be, I assert, I've yet to prove, can be logically consistent without having to throw in mucky pretend data.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that. So you can keep the whatever they're doing as a variable named in the definitions. So instead of saying health invest ventures, you would say like a venture, which would mean you'd need to define what a venture is, but you should be able to do it with just defined terms instead of any
Yes,
specifics.
exactly. And then the render would be give me an example, a complex example, where there are a series of state changes over the life cycle of creating something called health check. Um, but that is a render. The actual evals are there to state what can and should not be inferred from the definition.
Yeah, I don't think that those are evals because the purpose of an eval is to have tests that are able to be fuzzed or expanded and altered and all that. Whereas what you're talking about here, you actually want to reduce these down to the smallest set of non-overlapping interactions that can fully describe all possible interactions in the system, I think. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Okay.
that's possible if it's succinct and well formed.
Okay, so then where are we? me just a second.
I'm pretty keen on this one, but I'm nervous because it's like, really, is that we could do that? Because that would be very, very cool. Because then we stay inside of that idea we've got of the golden. Yeah, something similar than this. Yeah. The sorry, I'll let you finish your thought. I think you're looking for something.
Yeah, this thing. Read that.
Appeared as a user story. For example, yeah, something like that. However, I was going down the route, which I think is the right thing, is to get very formalized on this, because what we're doing is we're testing natural language definitions largely, but well structured.
Yeah, but why do you want to do that, and why do you want to do it now?
Because when I was looking down through all the deaths, it was quickly apparent that without some kind of way of ensuring that the definitions had guardrails, then the definitions could be wrong, and the by rendering those, then you can spot what that wrong is. That's that whole argument. But I think there's a place here for guardrails around definitions, which are, as I said, semi-formally described. Mostly, interestingly enough, in what you can't do, or what this definition should never allow.
So the stories, these interaction stories would act as a set of guardrails that would constrain what the definitions were allowed to do.
Yes, and again, just helping the bot out.
But why?
Giving that red flag.
Yeah, why? Why do you to what end? Like, I agree with you that those are important. That's why I put this definition in there. But why do you want it?
Because what the complexity is not in testing each definition. It's in running a large number of the search space of the state changes.
Are you saying that you are unable to certify these definitions until you have them working in these interaction stories?
Yes, and then render those by saying, each state change is like a 1-to-1 state change. That's the first order. You can have 1, 2, 3 state change, that's the second order, and so on. You can combine these in an infinite number.
So what's holding you up from agreeing, at least in part, to some of these definitions? Like,
nothing. No. I've read through them and they all seem sound. But when I was reading through them, it's like, what level of confidence do I have is that they are all sound? The whole kind of
what is your level of confidence?
That sort of thing. At the moment, I'll bet my watch on it.
Sorry, what's the scale?
The scale is watch, car, house, life, children's lives. Level of confidence, if you want to bet that your statement is correct.
Oh, what would I bet against these definitions?
Yeah.
Are you sure that you're not encompassing complete and blending complete in with correct?
I don't think I am.
I think so. You're saying that if I only asked you, are these things correct, you still would only bet your watch, which is the lowest grade of confidence.
Are these things correct? Yes. And perhaps some of this we roll into the definitions, but the guardrails really come down to you should never be able to do this. Now, how do you know what this is? And
I
having a
think we
bunch
might be
of
thinking about using these things for different purposes. Are you telling me
Mhm.
that you are not confident that these things are correct as presented?
I am confident I'd bet watch on it. I would not run a nuclear reactor on it.
But there's a big spectrum in between. A watch
Yeah,
seems pretty puny.
yeah. Watch car, house, life, children's
Yeah,
lives.
but are you sure you're not thinking that like they're definitely not complete, but correct? They seem pretty correct to me. If you would only bet your watch on them being correct, then show me one error.
No, no, that's the problem. That you've hit the nail on the head. Now, this is why I'm looking for a course direct or course correction here. Um, I couldn't see anything wrong with any of it. I was looking
You
through
could
it and it's
find no
like,
errors. Which
right.
which so did you go you went through every single one, or you only went through a handful, or what?
I read each one and did some kind of hand. Okay, if this happened, this happened, this happened, this all seems fine. Each line in itself seems fine. However, the my awareness of my own meat brain to get the interactions of how these things, you know, the my watch level is not based on the definitions, is based on my meat brain, and I think there may be a way of tightening it up in terms of this is what was going through here, and again, I was just checking it
So
to
you're saying
formally
that
state
if
do
you
that.
wrote a bunch of these interaction stories, then um you would bet your life on them.
Yeah, well, I would certainly be able to give a probability, and, depending on how many tokens you want to burn. I could say I'm 99%, and then, yeah, I'll bet my life on that. Not going to go for my children's life. I want 90 point, and I want 5 nines for that. But the initial
Okay,
relying on the meat brain
once you
is
have
where my
that, what then?
well then any change can be triply checked against these
Yeah, but
in terms
what's
of
the
impact.
to what end do we use this at that extremely rarefied grade of confidence?
Remember that there's a spectrum, so maybe the confidence level needs to be at the level of a contract, which I'd put, house level. At least you could
Yeah,
state that
but to what end?
beyond
To
meat
what
brain.
end? To what? Like the reason why you increase the quality of something to increase the level of what you'd bet on it is for some purpose in mind.
Yeah, it's usually, well, it's liability. It's like what's a
Yeah, but
a
what's the
risk here?
purpose? What's the specific purpose where there's any risk
Uh,
occurring?
because as soon as you put this into a trucking company, for example, um, uh, what are what are we stating? How is this going to fuck up?
Oh, this works just fine for them. I think this is a difference that we need to figure out in a hell of a hurry, you and me, because I look at this and I'm like, that's plenty good enough. Because it's never, in my eyes, it's never ever gonna be right because it's not, it can't be right.
Well, maybe a way to do this then is if you go back to the current eval format, because if I was thinking about these as a way of um, formalizing the evals,
We've already formalized the evals. Why are you trying to do it again?
because what we learned on defs was the more complete, consistent that you can get it, uh, then you can take those evals and, like Lego bricks, create narratives from them. State changes being one state to another, and then let's get a whole bunch of serial state changes or a bunch of parallel state changes. Let's run lots of those. let's find out whether there's in that render anything we can spot. At the moment, what we've got is description, prompts, expectations, right? But we're not linking that back to what we state change.
None of this is telling me what the point is, like the objective of increasing the quality is for. Like, you need to state what you're trying to realize, as opposed to just I'm trying to make it higher quality. Like, that's not a, you know what I mean? Like, what's the point? Why?
Okay. Why do we need to prove high quality? I guess because at some point we're going to be asking third parties to transact over this thing, and there's going to need to be some kind of definition of what quality is.
What's an example of a third party?
Two guys turn up, got naps, and they decide to use a gateway to create a JV. In order to do that, we are passing that through into contract world and so on.
Right.
But also,
the amount of...
if I roll back, I think I'm going down a rabbit hole here. The basic thing is, the challenge is reading the definitions through. I was quite satisfied.
Yeah.
Then I challenged myself on, well, why are you feeling so fat, dumb, and happy? There's quite a lot of text there. Text is, you could just got meat brain. Is there a way of...
Are you doubtful of the quality simply for the sake of being doubtful? Or are you doubtful for some specific... Like, it feels like you can't actually specifically say what's wrong.
No, I just, when I was reading it through, I was doubtful of my brain's ability to hold in all the potential interactions of...
that's not a valid reason to say that it's not trustworthy.
No,
that's true. That's true no matter what. Like, I have that thought when I'm driving the car down the road. I'm like, maybe I'm not worthy of driving a car. Maybe I'm going to crash. So what? Well, I still do it.
Well, okay. So the
like, that's a paranoid reason. That's not a practical reason.
No, it's an engineering reason.
That's not an engineering reason. Like, I did all the calculations and they look fine, but I don't trust my brain to have done the mathematics correctly. Like, that's not...
No, that's not right. That's it's like the equivalent would be taking out an architectural drawing and going, that looks right to me, without any kind of analysis on the interaction of the tensile strength of the foundation.
But if you're not at the stage of actually drilling the piles and building the building, if you're still in the design phase, then that's... I'm just questioning the order of these operations. Calculating the tensile strength of all the columns is an expensive undertaking, and you better hope that you don't feel like making some artistic changes after you've done all the calculations. What you're doing here will take you a long time. There's no doubt about it.
Not so long, because...
How long?
All I'm stating is, to use the analogy, there's a need to state, if you put cement on mud, the interaction between those things are going to have a bad idea. So you can't put cement on mud.
You said not too long. How long?
Probably the rest of the day. One day.
One day. I doubt that you will get anywhere but finding more things that are missing in one day. But
but is
my question still remains, though. What are we gonna do next with this? Like, let's just disregard what level of quality and trust it is at. What now?
Oh, okay. That's a different question. So, I can park this. This is, I think, necessary, but maybe not.
Absolutely. I'm just saying, like, I don't think we can say what's the best thing to
Well,
do now because we don't actually know what we want to do.
right. So if we look through the definitions. Definitions look fine.
Okay.
If we were to say we don't mind the quality, let's just get something. Let's get a hut built.
Yep.
And we're doing field measurements, and who cares if it falls over after 2 years? Because by that point we'll have built a house.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Um,
That's right.
the next thing to do would be to get the NAPs being able to write to a common store in order to talk to other NAPs for the CRM.
Okay.
As
So
an example.
what I'm most concerned with is, are you and I at a place where we can work together on a reconciled piece of information or reconciled store of information that you and I both agree about the information, and more importantly, as we work on refining the quality of that information pertaining to the Dreamcatcher,
Yeah,
are we doing it in the same spot?
I think we're at the point where we can now use the Dreamcatcher, pending the interaction of NAPs and actual runtime, as it were. We can move off of talking about the Dreamcatcher now, and actually use what we got in order to build something. Now
that was not my question. That was not my question.
Okay.
As you work on these definitions, as I work on these definitions, are you going to be refining them in this place, or are you going to still want to be refining them in some other place?
No. The method you're talking about, the method is good.
What about the location?
Location, as in
they are here in this in this repository.
Well.
Okay,
that's good as well.
So just to be amply clear, because this is a big deal to me, are we now, when we refine the definitions about the Dreamcatcher, are we doing it in this repository and only in this repository?
Yes.
Okay.
Now,
okay, that's winning.
If we think about the next steps, get tests up, which is why I went down this route. Getting tests up for the definitions of the Dreamcatcher would be helpful.
Yeah. Okay, so that's different. Making interactions needs to be separated in terms of what we talk about from evals, in the sense of evals that we've spoken about to this point. Evals to make sure that the definitions are correct and stay correct is different to interaction stories, because interaction stories provide novel information, whereas evals test that all of the novel information together has some properties all the time. Those are very different, and evals are fuzzing, like they ask the same question in 100 different ways, whereas an interaction story is designed to be singular, unique, novel. It carries novel information that the AI would not derive on its own. It carries, for lack of a better word, originality that came from us that could not be derived by the bots.
Yes.
So those evals are important. We can start writing them down somewhere. They absolutely do not need a custom format. I don't believe so far we've managed to do everything here with just text. What does the structural format actually give us?
It just makes it easier for the bot to be sure, absolutely sure, that there's no ambiguity and so on. Because the even this structure that we've got on tests at the moment we've got destruction there. We've got, here's the initial description, here's what happens, and here's what we expect. And that's the structure.
Right, but you've got like a graph language in there. Like you deviated from text and went into programming.
I did. And remember, I'm asking to as a check-in about whether that's the right thing to do.
Right. Yeah. My
It
opinion on that
condenses,
is
it
that
compresses.
it is not a good thing.
Okay.
And the reason is that the level that we're working in, as soon as you try to make it a programming language, then it really should be a programming language and not something in between. And, so like a mermaid chart is a form of programming language. It either compiles or it doesn't. But making our own notation that isn't just simply some headings and some sort of fuzzy English-like structure.
Would it be better then if I'm going to take over the screen again, if that's okay?
Yeah.
Would it be more appropriate? And I get where you're coming from. I don't disagree at all.
Because everything else here is in English. This whole thing.
Right. So where I've got talent develops NAP, I could easily put that into natural language. That would be trivial.
Oh, hang on. It's not.
And
it's not showing me a screen.
Oh.
It's just showing up as white. Yeah.
Oh.
Shall I
disconnect and try and reconnect? Just the
I'll
screen
take over and then I'll try cut it off again.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go. Okay, you try.
Okay. Okay, do you see that? That work? Or it's still a white screen?
Yeah, it's just white. Hang on.
Okay.
I broke it.
You can describe it because the point I'm making is you saw the graph-ish kind of format. It's trivial to expand that to natural language. So, for example, funder makes a contribution. That contribution is recorded on the contribution ledger. It can be expanded to natural language. So I think what you're saying is don't do a graph-like thing.
Right.
Use natural language, which is fair enough, which is the bit I was agreeing with. I think having an idea of individual state changes as evals is a good idea because then you can build those evals up into serial and parallel narratives as a render, and you can give things like Bob and Alice want to work on this and this.
I still think that's much too complicated for what we're trying to do right now. Like we are really just trying to get off the ground, and the more
it's a priority thing. Yeah, that's cool.
No, it's more like what you were saying in terms of we shouldn't rely on a second order thing. These types of refinements they're not strictly speaking second order because they do carry some originality within them. But because they start to stack what they depend upon, like they depend on the narratives, that depend on the user stories, that depend on the definitions, a change in anything lowered down quickly unravels everything above it. And so we need to figure out what we want to do with this set of definitions, because I don't have a clear answer and I'm not hearing one from you. So that's really the thing we got to do, because there's no point making the thing more and more polished
Well,
because
there's three things I was offering earlier. So
yep,
this was one where I thought actually this will be able to give us initial set of evals that would give us, a red flag when we change any of the definitions. Because
yep,
let's assume that we've got the
yep.
raggedy set of definitions.
I
I've
get
looked
it.
through it.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
can't see that. Yeah.
yep.
So then the next thing is to use those definitions collectively as the Dreamcatcher
Yeah.
to create something.
Okay, that's that bit. What's the
Yeah.
something?
Well, the CRMs are target, right?
Right, but it's not. It's not. These definitions don't help us with anything inside the CRM. These definitions help us with what's outside the CRM. So the company policies, the
Yeah.
environment that produces the CRM is what these definitions are about.
I see what you're saying. So here's a starter for 10. Okay, so it's probably wrong, but what I'd say is we've learned enough about how to get a tight AI system
Yeah,
that we think holds water.
yeah.
So we'll be building the CRM using naps in the same kind of tight definitions manner, where a definition is a nap.
That what you say is correct, but it is not what I was meaning. The we believe that we've solved how to get tight AI operations out, but we haven't actually fully proven it because we haven't deployed anything that uses this system, and refining the quality of the system any further without with interaction stories and much more.
Yeah, we need to prove it. We need to test it.
Yeah, before we do any of that fine detail work, because that kind of work is akin to doing all the structural calculations on an architectural drawing, and then the architect comes along and is like, oh, it turns out we were building on a mountainside and now we're building on flat ground or
Well,
something.
there's a sliver between these things, isn't it? So by the CRM, what I mean is, the Dreamcatcher here is to help the interaction between the various actors in order to, etc., etc. Okay. Now, I don't think we're in diminishing returns now.
Yeah,
Can't be
yeah, that's the
abstract.
thing. That's the thing I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Diminishing returns coupled with diminishing certainty. Like the uncertainty is going up because we're sort of further and further away from an actual implementation,
Right.
and
Right.
so
And what,
it's uncertain that what we're doing is lasting work, and it's also like diminishing returns for the amount of effort that goes in. So those two
yeah.
things are red flag to me. I'm like, that's not a good way to
Yeah.
spend our time.
So yeah, yeah. So I think in terms of definitions, I think we should call that done V01, whatever we want to call it. Right.
Okay,
Uh,
well, what I
um,
think that we should do. Did you? Sorry,
yeah, yeah. Sorry, I was just going
please
to finish
finish.
the thought and saying, okay, if we say that's done V01, the next thing is to model it, and to model it, we need a target. And the CRM is the useful one. Could be anything else.
No, the
Um,
CRM's not going to give us the CRM's not going to test these definitions in any way whatsoever. The CRM could test the principle of getting tight definitions down. Is that what you were meaning?
no, what I was meaning by modeling it was, let's say if we create a whole bunch of fictitious funders, consumers, etc., and then we model what it would be like to create the CRM using the definitions as
Ah,
is
I
now.
see. I see what you mean. That might be useful, but I seriously doubt that that's the most useful thing that we can come up with at this point. That
Okay.
is definitely useful. Don't get me wrong. What I think is the most useful thing to do that tests our definitions and makes sure that it is as we think it is, which is that we've found a way to make a highly accurate bot is to actually make the Dreamcatcher picture bot, the bot that talks about the Dreamcatcher.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that's on the priority list as well. So
Right.
using these definitions, can we generate an investor pitch deck? Can we?
No, sort of, but no.
No.
Using these definitions, can we make an agent that I can talk to and ask it any kind of a theoretical question and get a good answer? And why I think that that's the best thing to do is because number one, it proves that it works. Number two, it makes something useful for us in the world so that is our website and people come and they use our product and they use our techniques and they experience it and they're like, oh yeah, okay. So there's that. But the third and most important thing is that just by building it, you will get a set of evals where you have expectations about how the system responds. They won't be evals about the definitions. They won't be about the interaction stories or the user stories. They will be evals about this bot. And you will come up with some, I will come up with some, and then as we put it on the website and people use it, we'll see from time to time, we're like, that's a bloody good question. And so I think that that particular use case, if we can make our platform be our website, where the first bot you get is the Dreamcatcher talker thing, the tour guide,
Yeah.
and that can start making stucks where people are like, that's a bad response. It should have said this or that, or it didn't answer my question. And then in that way, we're exercising the stuck loop to work on these different definitions.
Okay, so what are we missing? Because at the moment, you and I can hand roll it. You know, we could bring up cursor and say consider gold, and then ask it questions about the gold and get answers back.
Right.
But that's hand rolled and ugly.
Yeah, but so so where we're trying to get to is 1 second, caller, 1 second. This is our current deployment of.
Oh, that was quick. Did you? Huh. This ours.
This is ours.
Hey.
We own this.
Hey.
And by own, I mean we're liable for it. Like our credit card gets dinged when it gets fucking hit. So yeah. This is me,
Okay.
Bob at bob.com. If I
Yep.
ever get ultra rich, I'm gonna go buy that domain, because I've used it everywhere. Like you could log into half my disposable crap if you own that domain.
You know, the sad thing is, years ago, I'm talking about like 2001. I owned the domain msm.ai. No, not .ai. Was it? No, it's the card number plate msm.ai. And
MSM AI, and you lost it.
Yeah, I loved it.
Oh, dude.
I know. It was
dude, I'm so sorry.
Much sad about that.
Yeah,
but okay, so right, we've
let me just try and hand wave at something here. So this is our deployment, and you know it works. You know what's up. It's live. It's pretty snappy. You know, it's all good. So how I think our primary objective is to get the stuck loop going, no matter fucking what. And what I think the quickest way I know of to get it going is to hit one of these buttons. And so when you hit downvote, that creates the beginnings of the stuck loop where a new chat will form, and it will say something like,
yeah, what we were talking about last time. Is like give us more information about why.
Yeah, and it will treat the same way that it treats a file in this view is how it will treat that previous chat. So like this thing that you can click on and pull up that bit would actually be pulling up the context of the chat in, like, let's call it the stuck editor, because it's like you were here, you hit downvote, and now you're in this new thing that's talking about the old chat and what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. And so in that way, if the drop down here was Dreamcatcher tour guide or whatever you want to call it, and then we put this up, this is our website now, we launch it on dreamcatcher.ai, and when you come and talk, you ask questions about the Dreamcatcher. So our, like, starter questions are, how do I use the Dreamcatcher to open a used car sales yard? How do I use the right? Okay, and then why I think that's a really good test is that inside of Cursor, you can do that right now. First of all, this thing's coming along really quickly. But second of all, inside of Cursor, you could make prompts and that used those definitions right now to sort of get a feel for how the bot should work. But crucially, you'll be able to create some initial evals where you're like, I said this, and then it said that, and then I said this, and it should have said this, but instead it said that.
Yeah. Okay, got you.
And then if you can sort of clobber that together, because you're very good at dealing with these big, like you can get it to 80% in half a day.
Yeah.
But getting it to 100 is maybe a year. I don't know, right? But if you got it to like 80%, probably by the time I've got this thing ready to sort of be launchable, you know.
Okay. Okay. I get you. Sorry to cut you off, but yeah.
No, I'm done. It's all yours.
So the thing. Now we're assuming where ChatGPT 4.0 is in that pull down.
Yeah.
You start off with one nap, which is Dreamcatcher. What do you call it? Tour guide or whatever it is.
Right.
And that's the thing we were talking about. And then if you install any other naps through the marketplace, then those where it goes. People don't care about model, or they shouldn't care about models.
They shouldn't care about. Well, the model is not the thing for us. The agent is, and inside the agent is the model.
Right, exactly. So the default is that pull down has only one, which is Dreamcatcher guide.
Yeah.
So now I know how to do this inside of Cursor, but what do you need for it to be expressed inside of this interface?
It's just the prompts. Like, so yeah, it's really just the prompts. So it might be a case of using it in platform. You know, like you might be able to make yourself a super system prompt where you got Claude to write out all the definitions in a single file or something like that.
So if I were to create something similar, or that nap, Dreamcatcher tour guide,
yeah,
in the old happy cut and paste way into Cursor,
or any which way, yep.
You're right. In half a day, I'll probably get that by this time tomorrow.
Right, that's what I mean, right? And that's, I think that's so valuable.
I don't know how to integrate it into this yet.
Yeah, but you don't have to. Like, that's my sorry job.
Yeah, and it's just one nap as well, so you don't have to worry about interaction of an app.
That's right. And its only test is, like, does it give the right answers to a diverse range of questions about the Dreamcatcher? And that will achieve what I think your goal was with the interaction stories that you were going for, and with the Neo4j language pseudonym thing. I think that'll achieve all of that, right?
Yeah. Absolutely on the spirit of
Right.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So really,
Um,
what I think the principle I'm trying to drive at here, which is in opposition to your principle, is that I'm trying to get us to, and this is a very new thing that I've only sort of just cottoned onto. I'm trying to get us to be English and fuzzy. You are trying to get us to be formal, and you're trying to write programs, and I'm
um, well, actually, um,
you're
oh,
trying to be correct,
can I?
my friend.
Yes.
Yeah,
If you
but
give me
I'm
if you could give me 2 minutes, what my ideal is that the definitions and evals are never actually seen. But the definitions and evals, because they're not seen, don't need to be fuzzy, but they need to be able to interact with the fuzzy, forward-looking human brain. Um, so I think it's still uh, very much correct to try and make definitions self-consistent, coherent, etc., and evals likewise. But that's back end. The front end is going to remain fuzzy. But what you're saying here is let's get a front end in order to test what we've got at the moment, knowing that it's probably well it's 0, 1 or whatever. It's watch, um, so that we
that
can
is what I'm
see
saying,
where
but
it's going wrong.
that's missing. That's not the point I'm trying to make. That's not the
Okay.
strategy I'm trying to push for. Complete, coherent, and correct is not solely the property of programming languages. Complete, coherent, and correct can be a property from a collection of English statements. And
Yeah,
I'm
I
right.
agree with that. I agree
Yeah,
with that.
yeah, but you agree with it. But what I'm trying to push for is that that's as far as we should ever go, and we should be suspicious of whenever we start trying to program in natural language, because the LLMs are natural language.
Uh,
We
um,
benefit from keeping within natural language because programming squeezes out the freedom. It
it's not.
squeezes out the
It's.
intelligence.
I'm not trying to make a programming language here. What I'm trying to do is under the hood, reducing ambiguity.
That's a programming
Um,
language, buddy. You're not
well,
you're overstepping. You're overstepping in that you're not leveraging the LLM's natural capabilities, which are that it thrives with uncertainty. You're trying to make it certain, and I'm arguing to you that you're overcooking it, you're over constraining it, and that's actually less than ideal.
that's possible.
Yeah, and I'm
We'll
saying to
see.
you
We'll
that
see. We'll see.
a concise set of English statements, my bet is that they perform better than a concise set of code, because code has an evil within it, and that evil is it's almost like that quantum paradox where, like, if you constrain something so much that it can't move, then you suddenly miss like what momentum it has. Like English natural language holding it fuzzy is trying to capture the best of both worlds, the best of the logic world and the best of the free world, where the free world is what's needed for it to ingest.
Yeah. No, I vociferously agree. Vociferously, is
What
that
does that
right?
mean, that word?
I agree wholeheartedly. The I guess you're missing my point. Um, the context UN using natural language is really important. For example, if you were to put into uh, even O1 right now and ask a simple question, what is a field? It would not know what the context was, and it could be talking about
Look,
electrodynamics
honestly,
or.
I think that there is no point arguing about this because.
Oh no, I'm just stating that we'll see.
All right, all right.
I, I've got my view, and this is quite healthy. My view is that the context is important. If you're talking about how to make a football field, when you're talking about a field, is different from if you're talking at CERN.
This feels like one of those
So
arguments where we both go along and say things that are true, and then it's like, well, so what? Like it's not
yeah, okay.
right.
Well, what I'm
It's
saying is let's park it. I think it's quite
well, the
healthy to
agreement that I
have
need, the
this.
agreement that I need is that can we stay in English?
Yes, absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
so no pseudo
Um,
languages, no pseudo notations.
um, uh, so,
Whoa, you
no, no,
don't
no,
want to
no, no,
let
no.
go, do you?
Okay, right.
Look at you
Yes,
hanging on for
okay,
dear
right, right.
life.
I
You're like,
concede.
give
I
me my
concede.
instruction. I want
I
my
concede
programming
that going
language.
down. All right, I was like, I concede that. Okay. And this is why I wanted to check in. Having any kind of formal language is wrong. It
Thank you.
has to all be in natural language.
Yes, excellent.
Um, the My follow-on point is that that as to ambiguity, which context allows the bots to actually get their teeth into it.
Yeah,
Um, uh, and you can keep with natural language. The definitions are all natural language.
yeah.
But if you're talking about a field at CERN, talking about a field when you're, mowing lawns, is a different thing.
That's right, but the
Um,
bot can figure that out. The bot will figure that out for you
with
with the user.
context.
It'll figure it out
Um,
with the user. It'll ask some questions. It'll be like, mate, what do you even mean? Like,
right.
you
Yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah.
need to tell it. That's the difference. When you program in a traditional computer, you are responsible for setting the context, and through your entire career, spanning nearly half a century, you have been bitten in the ass and beaten in the head when you don't set the context
I co-
correctly and the
I
program does something wrong,
I'm going
right?
to use the word vociferous again. I vociferously agree.
Yeah, but that time has passed. It's changed. The new game is that the bot knows context better than you, better than me. And so
Yes.
we don't need setting the context is doing it harm. Leaving it context free is when it will perform the best, because this is the humbling part that allows it to figure out some context that our trivial little fucking slowly evolving brains had actually thought we were in, but the bot does some context breaking things and says some stuff that we're like,
I,
oh, that's a great
I
idea.
agree with that as well.
Yeah.
At the highest level, absolutely.
Yeah. So
But
if
once
you
you,
constrain it, if you try and set the context to the bot, which is what you're doing when you do something with a formal language, you are missing out on the benefit that an LLM, a wise one, can bring to you.
yeah, but you're just restating the point I just made, which is, I agree on, I concede.
You
That
concede.
I
This,
concede. Uh,
let's mint that to an
because
NFT.
I've
All right.
I've
So,
been the, it needs to be a natural language,
okay,
all
great.
the way down to artifact. Artifact is the only part that's not natural language.
Right. And if you find a reason to need code, we should use the LLMs to produce code and then run the code using a code execution environment, as opposed to trying to get the LLM to execute the code in its brain.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. And okay, so this has been very helpful. As I said, this was like a course correction because my
Okay.
brain naturally goes down into formal logic,
You are a
which
natural
is
programmer. Yeah, because I think that's just how you are.
yeah. But the point is well stated, and your question, to go back to that, what we do next
Yeah.
is if I were to give you a cut and paste of a whole bunch of prompts and responses
Yep.
uh, using cursor,
Yep.
and I go, that's weird, that's good.
Because we could even
I
run
could
those
give a
bots in the existing platform, because we have that capability already.
well, yeah. I mean, if we what happens if you do a thumbs up, thumbs down here?
Oh no, I meant in long threat we have the ability to run those bots like right now, today, tonight.
Oh yeah. Okay, so can go back to long threat.
Yeah,
Write
long
myself
threat can help you
uh,
out maybe.
a bot. Say change to that bot.
And then so what we'll do is you and I will work together to get this chatbot deployed, and then pull in the stuff that you're doing.
Right.
Then
Okay.
we can have a chatbot that we can put up as our website that can answer a range of questions about the Dreamcatcher. We'll say when we're satisfied with it or not. But if it can do that, that's a
Okay.
long-lasting, useful tool, and it
So
thoroughly tests the definitions.
so first cycle then today is it will be embarrassingly simple to write that bot, but the harder thing will be, or the more time-consuming thing rather, would be putting a bunch of prompts and then put a narrative against each prompt, pretending for the thumbs up, thumbs down thing.
Yeah.
I can give a no, that's not right, or yep, yeah, that's right because of
Yeah, but
this.
you'd be doing that manually, right? Like, so you'd be,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
tweaking the definitions using Claude inside of Cursor to reason with you about why this particular output was a certain way, and then it can look through all the definitions and be like, oh, well, it said that a funder did this and that because in the funders file you talk about blah blah blah, and so that is long lasting work. That is hard
Yeah. Okay.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
high yield work because even if we throw away the bot work, which we won't, but even if we did, we'd still be left with a greatly improved set of definitions.
Yeah. Okay. So that's one step further, but that's fine as well. In that uh, I can create in long thread bots, pull in the defs that we've got, say consider all these,
Yeah.
and then give it a narrative, which I'll probably generate separately using MeatBrain. Um, have a look, and then take the prompt response and expectation into back into Cursor, I guess,
Yeah,
and
and run it
saying
in Cursor.
what broke it, and
Yeah.
then so it would be well, if we were to describe a file that would give, which is here's the narrative that set the thing up. Here's the prompt. Here's my expectation. Uh, Thumbs up, thumbs down, and here's what, for example, Claude doesn't have to be Claude, but here's what Claude says about it, and then that's a bunch of text. So if I were to produce that by tomorrow as an iteration, would that be
That'd,
helpful?
yep, that would be awesome.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I could do that.
That would be awesome. Okay.
Yeah. I'm really
so
looking forward to
you
this.
does that sound like the right thing to do to make the thumbs down be kicking off the stuck loop? So you click that and it will start a new thread?
It does. The only problem I've got with the thumbs up and thumbs down is it's very indexed on throwaway social media thing. Whereas where we're saying is like, so it's like, no, that's not right. Let me explain, or stuck or something. But that's a trivial thing. We can deal with that because it's only us right now. We know what thumbs up, thumbs down means.
Yeah. We can.
Thumbs up, thumbs down is like a vote, but we're not asking for a vote.
Right,
We're
we're
asking
actually
for
causing a stuck. Yeah.
vote.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know what the icon for create a stuck would. I don't know what the icon of a stuck even is.
I can't help you. Well, I can, but I'll probably get it wrong. I'm not going to give a guess. It's like maybe that emoji with the you know that one? I use it a lot. Where he's got his thumb and finger on his chin.
Yeah, the thinking one.
Yeah. It's like it's not quite right because up and down, thumbs up, thumbs down is very black and white. It's like yes, no, and you're not expected to.
Oh, thinking face. There you go.
Thinking face. Oh, it's getting quite close.
Okay, what about? I'd probably say that. That's probably the closest thing to a stuck.
Mark. That doesn't work for me because that means like fuck.
Yeah, stuck.
I quite like. Well, I would advocate for. I don't really care too much. about that
Thinking
kind of
face?
thinking face,
Okay,
chin
thinking
on
face it is.
thing.
The stuck man. Okay,
No, it's
so...
not thinking face.
What? That's just thinking face.
No, that's not the one I'm thinking about.
Oh,
There's another
God.
one.
You know that? Okay, anyway.
It's
Well,
the
you send it to me later. Okay, well,
All
whatever.
right.
You send it to me, and then that's going to be the stuck icon.
Yeah.
All right, so what now? Then... So we'll get that up. That's our website done. That's our definitions being refined. That's the first version of the stuck loop. That's us being able to ask questions about this body of knowledge that we can no longer keep in our heads. That's us being able to pass it off to others to ask, have their take on it, and then we just add the next nap.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
And
cool.
it's going to be. I think what we're agreeing here is it's going to be this kind of cyclic thing where I produce narratives and then test it and then use an AI to go what's
why?
wrong with the definitions.
Yeah, and that's the loop that you were talking about, the reasoning loop, where you're like you're not fixing the response directly, you're fixing the cause of the response.
Yeah, but what we're missing, if I was to then change the definitions, what we're missing is any kind of cascade.
The automated testing that makes sure you didn't break something else that you'd fixed earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't. We need to do that real soon. We can't do that now.
No, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
What I'll do is then I'll just keep it as raw. I'll not update in the definitions because they could be contradictory.
No, update the definitions, dude. You need to start doing that because I need to see you making modifications on those definitions. You, for whatever reason, keep not working in the same space as me. And I don't know why you don't want to change them. I need to see you change them because I have no fucking idea what you think about them.
Okay, well, I can, but well, okay, no. All right, I could do a really quick and dirty universal eval, which would be I just made a change. Check through all the definitions. Are they still self-coherent?
Yeah. So why don't you just make yourself a little file that's like your little toolkit of prompts, and then you can just copy paste them into the large context Claude chat, and then that can be the definitions wide eval thing.
Yeah.
And then what'll happen there is that I'll come in and automate your workflow for you as soon as I can, and then we're in we're actually running.
Yeah, that's cool. Let me send you the.
Can you think of anything better to do than this thing? What are the other options that we've got?
Well, what we need to do is start cycling through the use of it, and what you described is closer to the cold face,
right?
Than what I was doing,
and it also tests the work I'm doing.
It's got the same idea. It's like let's iterate.
Let's iterate. It also tests the front end that we're deploying, and as soon as I can connect it up to the new back end, it'll test that too. So it's like end to end.
Yeah, that's cool.
But look, if you think of something more important, definitely bring it up. But it just seems like that's just clearly the best thing to do.
The high level thing. The bottom line is going through and reading the defs. It all seemed great.
Okay, that's
and
cool.
And it's obviously not perfect at all. But I can't figure out. Because the complexity is already getting quite large.
Yeah, it's kind of it's close enough to run with, right? Like as a starter for 10, it's close enough.
For sure.
And as a process for moving forwards, I think it's good.
I've just sent you my proposed icon emoji on WhatsApp. I don't know. I don't really care, but
yeah, no, that's the same one. That's the thinking face.
Is it?
Yeah, it's just it renders differently. It renders differently on different computers.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were universal. As in,
They render differently. It's not the same font.
all right, okay, yeah, it's the same one. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the same. It's the same. It's the same encoding, but the rendering is font specific and platform specific.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay, okay.
Not
So
just a pretty
right,
face over here.
so that's very useful. Which
All
is
right,
why I
cool,
wanted this jump in, this quickie.
cool.
Um,
All right, have we got time
uh,
for my idea?
yeah, absolutely. Always got time for ideas because they add, they totally simplify things, adding new ideas.
Well, I don't come to you with many, so this I think is I think it's a good one, but I just don't have a very clear way to explain it. So I'm just gonna try. Right. So when we have a stuck loop,
yeah,
it can, let's say it came from in a chat here, and I'm like downvote, and then that kicks off a new chat. Da da da.
yeah,
The fact that this front end isn't running, the front ends don't have to run on chain for it to still be a valuable system. I think I was being too blockchain or nothing about it. That's actually not true. You can actually do a lot of useful stuff without a blockchain. And then I asked you, what's the point of the blockchain? And you said that you can't have the stuck loop without a trustworthy system of record that can be audited.
it's because if you the reason it is stuck loop is dependent on incentive alignment, and if you don't trust anyone else, you're going to think I'm just going to get shafted.
Yeah.
And so you don't bother.
Yeah. And so the idea is basically that we could make this sort of an API that wrapped AI bots and AI calls, but it wrapped them in the stuck loop, so that because we're talking about, so in the definitions we've got a section on implied stucks and declared stucks. And declared stucks are when somebody explicitly says this is a problem and it shouldn't be that way. Yep. But an implied stuck is one where our background bots look at what's going on and say, actually, that's not right. That's not right.
If so,
right?
In the thread, if someone asks the same question different times, multiple times, and it's not, and then just moves on to a different subject, that's implied stuck.
It's an implied stuck, right? And so it strikes me that that service in itself, combined with the ability to turn all of the previous stucks into evals that are fuzzily tested against each iteration of the bot, selling that API seems quite useful, because what it means is that, as we know, when you put up a bot, immediately it's like 30 minutes to get to 80%, and then it's like 30 weeks to get to 95%.
And if you get to 95% and you want to make a change, you're sitting there with your bum doing like burpees.
Right. And then at the same time, you might have launched, and you've got now user things coming in, and you really need a way to handle. It's not like error logging and reporting in the traditional sense, because the faults they're just strings. It's like, what's wrong with this string? Well, I don't
syntax
really
error at line
know.
10.
Yeah, it's meaning now. It's semantics. It's intelligence. It's like, why is that wrong? Well, could be anything. And so, what I think is a product is to allow people to wrap their bots in the Dreamcatcher API so that each it would free them up to make their bots any way they like, but they just wrap the call that goes out to whatever AI provider they choose in the Dreamcatcher, and then
I agree. I agree. That it would be because everyone's still in the kind of, oh, it's hours. I've got a startup. I need to keep it hours and that sort of thing. However, they don't have many resources, and so they're trying to think with their meat brains on bots, and they stick with the first one.
And we can keep it. If they want to keep it private, we'll keep it private. But you got to pay for that. And the point is that if we let you wrap all your calls in a problem solving solution, then that's of value, right? Because if you've got like 100,000 user requests, and you're left sitting there being like, oh man, I don't know how to process all that. I don't know what to do about all that. But we do. Like that set of tooling?
Yes. That's one form of stock in that people bomb out because it's taking 30 seconds because they've got one server.
No, I was meaning as a developer, or as a developer making a bot, and the threshold to what it takes to launch a bot is going down and down and down. And when you do launch a bot, you need to handle the stucks and the evals that come from its usage. And so we are spending all this time making such a system for ourselves. Why not, with a very thin wrapper, we can expose it as a consumable thing to the outside world. You don't have to agree to all the Dreamcatcher philosophy and fucking Kool-Aid and whatever.
If there was well, what you got here, if there was a way to express this with someone else's URL and saying this is our system, and also one other thing, remember that there's a third kind of stuck. So there's inferred from usage. There is I'm trying to do something that it just can't do, but there's a third type which is the user is trying to do something that the system expressly wasn't meant to do, and maybe doesn't know, which comes back to the tutor Dreamcatcher training bot.
Oh, you mean expanding the capabilities of the system to meet the stuck?
Yeah. So
yeah, that's not a different kind of stuck. That's just how you solve it is different.
Oh well, yeah, but it's there's three kinds of situations which involve a stuck. The user is stuck because the user doesn't know how to use it and is trying to do something stupid. The user is trying to do it and just gets bored and frustrated and goes off. And the user is trying to do something and wants to engage and write down exactly what they're trying to do because they're a bit more sophisticated. So those three things, if you were to wrap those three things in a service and say, come and write your bots here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would...
and it would be just a straight drop-in wrapper around what would otherwise be the OpenAI call that you make or the Anthropic API call. And we're just saying, like, all the calls are the same. You just go through our platform. We lift off a copy. We analyze it for whether it's an implied stuck. We give you some widgets and some other API calls to be able to declare stucks. All that kind of thing. And, I think that's a saleable thing, like, because that's a problem that a lot of devs have with bots, and I haven't seen a solution for that.
And it is a saleable thing, and if you add in what you've got here onto it, then now we've got a situation where someone is getting asked to do an AI, and the guy goes, "Oh, I know how to do this prompting." Okay.
Yeah, and so we're why I think that this approach is good is because the danger that we had before is you kind of needed to be all in on Dreamcatcher to even start to use Dreamcatcher, but there's actually a range of introductory things that can be of benefit to you that don't require a large amount of change. And so the reason why I think this insertion point is great is because OpenAI and the other AI providers have spent a lot of time, money, marketing, and influence to make it so that they get called with this API and that the developers know about that and have used that and all that. And so the lowest possible friction and cost of us to insert in another person's workflow is just to wrap the AI API call, nothing else.
Yeah,
Right?
well,
Nothing else.
if regardless of mass adoption, as I said before, I'm getting incoming from Ireland and so on, and the hopper is about 8 full now. So even just using it for that would allow us to refine the back end of the stuck loop, because we've got a small number. We could put that up on the open web, but without advertising, discovery for the world is going to be tricky for them. Nobody might actually know we exist. However, we know we can use it right now. So yeah, I agree. Simply doing that would, well, yeah, it would basically be of benefit to everything in the hopper at the moment that I was
Right.
looking
And
at.
it'd be also be of benefit to a lot of other developers without them having to actually,
Yeah,
it's like we
then we
could
can do
sell it. We could just
outreach and
sell
that
it
sort of
in a
thing.
conventional way, like, it's like $20 for a million wrapped requests or something like that. And then we take that money and we distribute it using the Dreamcatcher attribution algorithm to incentivize people to build out our side of the fence more. But it's really just like a good income stream for us, I think.
Yeah, well, we don't actually even need the attribution of a sophisticated attribution algorithm if all the people who are fixing it are staff.
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
So the other aspect to that is that it would allow you like a gentle gateway drug, because the first level is wrapping your AI calls so that you can see them all and you can see the faults that have been automatically detected. That comes with some fun stuff like trying to help you prompt better and all that stuff, right? But then the next level is you can open up that platform to either people you trust or the general public to say, look, I need to make my prompt better. Who can help me? And so that's where you start to touch on the true value of the Dreamcatcher, because you could be a developer, you make a bot, you make a crappy prompt, it kind of works. You put in the first round of stucks and you're like, doesn't work, make it work, $20. And then now, you can either hand that out to some Upwork people that you found to work on, or you can publish it with just escrowed cash against it. And that means that now the Dreamcatcher starts to get used to improve your prompt. That's the sort of, I
I
think.
no, I agree, and also I'm getting quite a lot of demand through the stuff Marlo's getting from downstream attribution.
What does
Remarkably
that mean?
so, actually.
Or
As
what's
in, um, I'll give you a cut of the value generated by this bot.
if what?
Uh, if you do the bot. So this is the
Oh,
no
so people are
escrow.
trying to push the Dreamcatcher model back up to us
Yeah,
because all they
yeah.
want is
There's
they
like
want us to make a bot for them.
there's like three companies at the moment saying we really need AI. We don't know. Being
Oh, right.
given a six-figure summary, set a fixed six-figure
Budget.
value
Yeah.
of to do that, and I can't afford that. However, I know I'm going to increase my business by 50%.
Oh,
Uh,
right. And so we're
there's
like,
a there's
well, you've
quite a lot of appetite for that.
right. So we could actually, right. That's a very thin insertion point, especially if the people don't like throwing away code for some stupid reason. But if they've already built something that works, and all we're doing is be like, swap out your APIs, and we'll hook them, and then now we can help
Yeah,
improve your bot,
yeah.
right?
And there was one guy, he completely got it in terms of so if I work with you to build a bot to do this, yeah, to do with insurance and that sort of thing, and I give you a commission, you're saying that you'll then go and make that available to others, and if others use it, I get passive money. He was going, hell yeah,
Right.
I'll do that.
Okay.
So uh,
Cool.
the one thing that would make that an absolute, balzer of a platform is clagging in naps wise to APIs and so on. So if you look at the likes of Flowwise or Crew AI, that's
Being able
really what
to
we're
like
doing.
connect out the bots. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that is a natural course for us. I'm
yeah.
just
It's not in the main line, but that that would be the main stopper because what we just described would be great for a single bot, and I've got
yeah.
a point to raise on that one. But everyone who's doing bots above trivial, they're all clagging into other things, and let's
Tool
do a
calls
grammar
and stuff.
checker, and
Yeah, yeah, and so I guess that's how we would expand out to offer the Dreamcatcher because we're like, you we can do all these things for you. Um, at some point you're gonna be like, well, can you just run the whole thing for us? And we're like, sure, no problem. Here's the
yeah,
infrastructure. Off you
yeah,
go, right?
yeah, yeah. So I guess the point I'm saying is, the uptake will be limited until we get the kind of the NAP.
The
Uh,
nap thing's
um,
a massive thing. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, well, how about I think that this should be the icon for the
Yeah.
stack.
Actually, I
It's
quite
better,
like that.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
A
yeah,
work in
yeah. It's like
progress. Okay,
fix it.
fix it. Okay, cool. So I'll make that the
Yeah,
icon. That was my great idea. I just that was it. That's all there is
yeah.
to
No,
it.
no, no.
Um,
That's cool. And I think we should do that because that's a minimum. But also, we can we can fill the hopper ourselves.
yeah, I know.
Without having to go overboard on outreach or anything like that,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
still make some cash. I was going to say something else. What was it?
It's just this API notion is just a general sort of a thing that's starting to become apparent in the AI world. Like,
Yeah, but
because
eventually it's going to diminish, isn't it? APIs are going to they're going to disappear eventually because it's going to be a bit like one AI telephoning another AI
yeah, I
because
don't
all
think
you need
that's
is the
gonna
phone number.
disappear. I don't think that's gonna. I mean, look, we know what the ultimate AI is, right? It's just a binary sync in a source, and it can generate the TCP packets directly on the wire to talk to anything in the world, and it can decode them as it comes in, right?
Yeah,
Right. That's a long way off, and in between is boom time,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So a buddy of mine was talking about he's trying to do kiosks, right?
Mm.
And he, he's got different problems that he has to solve, technically speaking. And then I suggested to him the other day, I'm like, well, you're trying to solve all these problems that every kiosk maker has, just so that you can have a deployment in a shop. Why not take all those things and wrap it in an API? And be like, this is the kiosk AI API because it allows you to do things like figure out who was talking amongst a group of people, figure out emotions from a video feed,
Well, yeah.
You know,
AI API is a good way of putting it, and that's what I was saying. That APIs, as they stand, are a pain in the arse. You need to get the JSON right. Not many people do that. Go and hire people, but
yeah,
an NL talking to a bot talking to another bot, it just needs their phone number, effectively. It's
yeah.
like you phone up saying, right, so,
I think we might be talking differently. So this notion I'm trying to poke at is the fact that if we can bundle up a bunch of solutions to a specific area, like kiosks is one example of a very specific area that's rapidly trying to integrate AI to everything,
mm,
and they all have the same problem. And so if you can provide a service that is like all the kiosk problems solved, and anyone who's looking to build a kiosk would really just, it would be far faster and cheaper to just use the ready-made solution rather than suffer
yeah,
the time delay of going through it all
yeah,
yourself, and just be
yeah,
like,
yeah,
look, you pay us, and the delay in development, you'd probably lose the rate that AI is going. And so there's this weird pressure, even more than before, to be like, you need to just grab what's built already because you'll be displaced.
this is the conversation we had yesterday, and boom, here's yeah, a UI. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. But what I'm trying to ask you for is some help to come up with some examples of areas where that principle applies that isn't kiosk, because I've just come up with a second one, which is, hey, just intercepting the AI calls can be quite useful to deliver to people. And then we're like, well, having a specialized kiosk API for doing AI in kiosks is another one. What are some others?
well, there's a few that fall out of the sky, really, obviously, isn't there? Any form of arbitrage or selection. So let's take insurance. Um, you go to a single place and you get an NL to talk to other NLs about what's your best rate, flight bookings, hotel bookings,
Oh, so you're talking
all
about
that sort of thing.
making like a bot, making an API that has some ready-made insurance bots that know about insurance better than anyone else,
Yeah,
and you
knows
just
the
use,
market,
right,
complete yeah market clarity, and you've got a
market
question for
clarity,
it.
right,
Yeah,
and then you're like, here's my insurance bot. It gives good insurance answers.
yeah, and then you can take car insurance because I've just gone through this recently with Stuart's car insurance. Even the these sites that say, oh, we'll go and probe other ones and so on. You still need to have a quite high cognitive load. But if you were to talk in NL saying 20-year-old, this is the car, here's a photograph
Okay,
of the
but
car,
is that following the
boom.
pattern though? Is that saying that you can imagine a bunch of startups who want to get into the insurance chatbot business, and they would be better off to use our chatbots to just get going? Like,
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
the principle is trying to find common areas where a lot of startups are rushing into and saying, for some reason, startups seem to not want to share. And so instead of all of them
Yes,
coming together and saying,
yeah, because they
we
all
all
think
have
they're
the
going to be
same,
billionaires
they
next
all
year.
think they're the one, right? And
Yeah,
that's the folly of the startup that we should cash in on, because they all want to protect and own and control. But AI is not like that. It's not a controllable thing. It's like the internet, but for intellect. And so if we came up with a range of
I like that phrase. Yeah.
if we came up with a range of, say, half a dozen areas where startups, everyone thinks they're going to be the one, they're keeping it secret, all that, and then we just turn up with an API that I'm like, it's like selling the shovels to the miners. It's like they all think they're going to hit the gold. There's only a fixed amount of gold in those hills, actually, and it's been there for millions of years, but whatever, you're going to be the one. And then we're
Right.
selling them the tools that level the playing field.
I can talk very specifically to that because of experience over. Well, I'm not going to it, but a startup immediately got one guy with a great idea, okay?
Yeah.
And then he wants to get a team. He wants to get his CTO, even though there's only one guy.
What the fuck is with that?
He wants to get a CFO. He's obviously a CEO, and it's like, whatever. I need a CMO, and all that kind of thing. And therefore, I need now a burn rate of 30K a month. Right, I need investment. I need a pitch deck. All that kind of stuff you know well. Now, if there was a way for that guy just to clag in saying, right, okay, so I'm going to talk in natural language about what I'm thinking to a set of APIs that have exit points in advertising and social media. I'm going to talk to a bunch of access points that talk to my my end consumer base. Say.
My stack's running out, buddy. I got like maybe 2 more spots on it.
All right, okay. I'll cut down. Basically, yes. I see where you're going on that one, and I think actually that'd be very, very cool. Can I use your last 2 slots?
Sure.
You can remove a few of those previous ones because that was just me talking out loud. The one thing I was saying to go right back down into the hard tags on the JSON. I think it seems I'd suggest maybe the JSON needs a similar kind of functionality to cursor where you're saying at golden inside of the nap.
Yeah, so in this thing here, you'll be saying like at blah 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 at folders.
No, it would be inside the JSON. So I would in the top left where GPT-4o is, I'd be going down saying I want to talk to my marketing nap.
Yeah.
And the marketing nap inside of the JSON, it says, okay, right, here are the folders that I'm looking at in context.
Right.
So I'm proposing adding a field to the JSON, which is directly derived from how Cursor does it when you say at golden.
Yeah. Okay. You lost me there. How does this relate to startups?
Oh, it doesn't. No, sorry. I said ditch that. If you can pop the stuff off your stack.
This is completely unrelated to everything we were just talking about.
Yeah. Because I was just reiterating with fervor.
Okay. Yeah. There's gonna be like a way to reference files in the NAP format. I'm not sure what that is yet. I just need to poke around at it first before I can even entertain some variations on it. It definitely needs to be there though.
Okay, that's fine. That's cool.
Yeah.
Because the experience of using Cursor, it's a bit like running your own brain nap when you're saying, okay, so I've accessed it, and then I'm talking to this. There are a number of things inside of, well, a number of things. That's one thing that I found inside of Cursor that screams out needs to be in the JSON. It's like, for example, the tutorial, the Dreamcatcher tutorial nap has at golden as its file base. I think that's important because otherwise, we're going to retrieve. You know, the very fact that you've selected the tutorial nap means that you want to talk about the Dreamcatcher. The Dreamcatcher is golden, the at golden folder, and now you want to ask stuff about that at golden folder, but the nap needs to know about it. But I think you've already thought about that by the sounds of it.
Yep. Okay. So
yeah, sorry about the target switch there. That was probably a bit abrupt, but yes,
it was very abrupt.
Yeah.
Can you think of any, like, if we could think of API reasons for like we gotta give the greedy startup a defensible reason why they can use our generic tools and still they can be number one. Like I don't know how many other industries that applies to, but I just want to sort of open your eyes to listen out
No,
for that.
that question comes up all the time because the more generic tools are available, the less your USP is.
That's right. That's right. And so, like for example, in the kiosk world, the uniqueness is like connections with large retail chains. Like it becomes about the relationships you hold more so than the tools that you have
Right.
access to. Like we
Yeah.
kind of want to be the standard of tools, and then it's up to everyone else to go figure out who's got a deal with who,
But
because that should really be the only differentiator.
I guess the argument I would say is all these tools are being genericized anyway. Um, and here is a place where you can just forget all of that and focus on your USP, at which
Yeah.
point the starter's probably going to be scratching their head. But the USP might be something like a brand, a brand name,
Yeah,
like
or it
Bumblebee
could actually
or
be
whatever.
the store chain themselves. Like, if Walmart was like, okay, we need AI kiosks, where are we gonna go, right? And then they'd sort of pick some local builders and some local startups,
Right.
and then you'd want to be the tooling of that.
Yeah, there was a really cool dude I was talking with earlier last week, who's basically trying to replace Patreon in terms of indie music, um, and he doesn't give a shit about the back end, but what he doesn't want is it to be hyper personalized,
Yeah.
and uh, his USP is how cool he is. Uh, so the USP is the thing. It's always been the thing, and everything else gets in the way.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, yeah.
Um,
That was just an interesting.
do you want me to jot down like half a dozen examples then, just to
If you can,
just to
buddy,
know?
I just feel like my brain needs loosening up to be able to think along those lines, because us wrapping up the Dreamcatcher in these little ways to have initial types of income is fascinating to me, because I'm like, it's like a whole new way of thinking about it. It's
Yeah,
very adaptive, like, and one
it's
or two of
hugely
those
adaptive.
things
Yeah,
could make a lot of money because they're pretty easy. Like from our point of view, they're freaking trivial compared to the stuff we've been doing, and we're just like, why not
yeah.
just cash in? I mean, it's a legitimate service.
I think we're the structure we've got, especially the stuck loop, which is essentially market research, right, of usage, a bit like a heat map, only intelligent. Um, the thing that we're missing at the moment is they all want a website that you can go to in order to interact. So as soon as we get, it seems quite trivial given the conversations that we had, but it seems quite trivial. If we can get this up in a white label where you could like say, right, here's what it looks like, and we'll generate widgets and that sort of thing, put it on your website, and behind the scenes, you've got this stuck loop, you've got all this goodness, you've got
Yeah,
this discovery, you've got APIs and that sort of
yeah,
thing. You
a
don't have to care about any of that.
self improving bots, and all they do is
Yeah,
take a percentage of the revenue they make.
right. Yeah, and you've got a pop up that otherwise would the startup would be looking to have to hire a dev team.
Yeah, yeah, right. And you're
And
like,
all that
basically in an
shit.
hour, you're up, which frees you up to just focus on your USP. And so I guess the startup's pitch to its investors or backers would be like, if they ask, well, what are you? Because you're just using the Dreamcatcher, what are you? And you're like, no, that's good, because otherwise we would have deluded ourselves about our importance by making all these general things specifically. And so now we can actually focus on purely our own value, which is an advantage because everyone else is still getting caught up in trying to make value that's just going to be replaced. And
And
so,
I
yeah.
agree. And the interesting thing is with startups, every time I've talked about contribution attribution, they're hugely uh, positive about it
Mm,
because they have no cash.
I know. But they got equity and they got great ideas or stories have been told to
Yeah, but they
them
want to keep
about,
hold of the equity because
yeah,
this year, next year, this time next year, we're going to be billionaires. So they don't want to give away equity, but they will happily give away a percentage.
yeah, percentage, sure. All right,
But
buddy.
anyway, good. All right, nice. Keep going with this front end and the nap thing.
Okay, cool.
Everything else, I think, will slot into place pretty quickly once you get that up.
Okay.
I'm very impressed that you got this up fast. I'm sure that's because I'm ignorant of how
It was
easy it
not
is.
impressive. What was impressive is that they did it.
Yeah, yeah,
That's all.
and they allowed it to be used. Good on them.
Yeah,
And
but I feel like I can understand their economic incentives. Like, I'm their customer now. I wouldn't have been their customer if they didn't do that.
yeah,
So, you know,
well, it's very similar, isn't it? It's very similar. Only one tier up, I guess.
yeah, one level up. And so that works for them, which means that they will keep making it better and keep it current because it's getting them customers. And
Yeah.
that's good. It's really not, it's not a massive job to make this, but God, if it's just one person, it's
Well,
pretty massive.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, you've got the naps to do.
Yeah, all this
I've got,
crap.
I've got the prompting to do. We've already gone through the definitions. That's taken what 2 weeks to
Yeah,
really go
that was
from.
hard. That was hard,
Yeah.
but I think we got
Um.
there actually for the first time ever. I mean, let's just honor that for a moment.
Yeah. So I think once we get that and the naps that kind of replicate cursors, at golden kind of thing,
Yep.
and have the APIs which is already on the hopper on your priority list. Um, that's sellable for sure.
Yeah, for sure, right? And then that's like the CRM basically,
Yeah,
because the CRM is just a bunch of these state board things.
yeah,
You have your
and
chats. You're
then
like, where are my customers?
exactly, and then in due course, there's all the niceties of on-prem GDPR stuff, which none of this breaks if you do on-prem, um, which allows it to be used in government, financial,
Yeah,
etc. But I think startups seem to be the place because all the big guys I've been talking to, they've like hired 20 guys who are now, I don't know what they're doing, but they're working away on
yeah,
AI and they're like,
yeah. They hire people because they're just applying the old tactics. They're like,
yeah,
you just need a team.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
exactly. If
All
you
right.
get a few,
Well, I'll keep going on this UI, and I'll
yep,
try and elegantly connect it up to the back end,
yep.
and then
Okay,
we'll
so
roll from there.
yeah, cool. So to summarize, I'm going to work on hand cranking uh, effectively stocks in the way I was saying, taking the definitions, uh, prompting it, looking at it, asking Gemini what the change is, and so on,
Mm-hmm.
in one big file. And I'll also give you a text file of, say, half a dozen use cases of the that wrapper that we've just been talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll do that by tomorrow.
Cool. Okay.
Right.
What time? What time are we on tomorrow? Are you able? Do you know that?
Um, I can get on by 6 a.m. my time. Today, right now is 9 a.m., so it's 10 p.m. your time.
Yep.
So 3 hours, 7 p.m. your time.
7 p.m. my time. Okay. That sounds cool.
Does that interact with any family stuff?
That's a great time. That's a great time for me. Is that a good time for you?
It's yes, it's
okay.
The shifts are good for the next couple of days.
Okay. I only really care about the next one. That's all.
It's good for tomorrow.
Okay. All right then. I'll see you tomorrow.
Tomorrow at 7 p.m.
Yep.
At the wrong side of the world.
The absolute wrong side of the world, with the world's most expensive cheese. Locally grown.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah. Cheese.
Anyway, I'll stop the recording.